you are a company in itself.
Supply chain, inventory management, design, software side of things, website, marketing, you know, sales, helping sales guys, like yeah, almost everything.
Yeah, welcome guys back to another episode of IT Podcast with Somnath. And today I have a special guest with me. He's not just a manufacturing geek. He went into design. He went into further studies in US, and then he is working in a startup, working in solar panels, distribution, and designing, modeling. Yes. So welcoming my next guest on this show, Dinesh Goundla. Hi, Dinesh.
Hi Somnath.
Long time, right?
Yeah, long time, man. It's been, yeah, it's 2015, right?
Yes.
Almost like 9 years.
Connecting with you again. I remember we were wingmates. You just had, your door was visible from my door from in the MS. That time.
I used to,
Yeah.
yeah, I used to like call you out for lunch and dinner.
Yes.
I just have step out of my door and I could see your door. Somnath, Aja, you know. Yeah,
Yep. And also you used to entertain a lot of guests. मतलब
yeah,
मेरा जैसे एक्स रूममेट था जशवंत. ही यूज्ड टू स्टे ऑपोजिट टू मी बट मोस्टली वो तुम्हारे साथ टाइम स्पेंड करता था
yes,
जस्ट
yeah,
नीचे आके उधर बैठ के आराम मस्ती मार रहे.
yeah, 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 yeah.
It's
Yeah, a lot
really
of
nice.
people. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So basically you know already कि a podcast is divided into three parts. So say before IT, at IT and beyond IT life. So we'll start at the first topic, which is before IIT. So how were you as a student? Did you know कि I'm smart और फिर मुझे कहीं दूर जाना है in terms of acads?
Yeah, I mean, I was a good student to say. Like in school, I went to this school called DAV, Dayanand Anglo Vedic. We had one of the branches in IIT Kharagpur as well. It was a great school in hindsight. I didn't realize when I was there. Uh, but then, like I think in eighth standard is when my dad got to know about IIT from one of his colleagues. So I grew up in a public sector township. So my dad works for a public sector company called Bharat Dynamics Limited, BDL. So they make like missiles and like stuff with collaborating with DRDO. So we were in a township like 50 kilometers from the center of the city, like Hyderabad. So that was a cocoon, like a bubble in itself. So we had schools, we had hospitals, we had shopping complex, like everything, right? So the township was great. School was really accessible, and we had like huge grounds and like really great teachers. So I think in eighth standard, my dad got to know about IIT from one of his colleagues, and then my dad started like like trying to learn about how to get into it. And I think then he figured out that there is a coaching center in Hyderabad called Ramaya. Okay, so if you get into Ramaya, then you get into IIT. You know, so answering your question, I was a good student. I was not an exceptional student. I was a good student, like most of us. I was obedient. Like whatever our parents tell, we just like do it right away, right? Like without questioning their motives, and you know, yeah.
Okay, so basically your dad found out about IIT और रामाया में
Mhm.
he got you in, and फिर उधर से how did you proceed with your IIT preparation? Was it rigorous या फिर you were okay with कि जैसा चल रहा है, go with the flow?
Yeah, so even before that, so my dad got in touch with a few of his colleagues in our township who were like math geeks. Just like us, there are people who are like older. In our parent generation who used to pursue mathematics even after getting a job. And there is this one uncle who is like pretty good with math, and then my dad pursued him to teach us, like coach us mathematics, so that we could get into Ramaya.
अच्छा. So you were preparing for Ramaya instead of IIT.
We were prepared exactly. So ninth and 10th, we were a group, like I think 15, 20 people. We got together in the township. We used to go to the officers club, and then this uncle used to come, and then he also brought along like physics and chemistry teachers to coach us to get into Ramaya. So Ramaya is in Hyderabad. There's this place called Nallakunta, which is like Kota of South India. All the coaching institutes, like all the so-called names like Narayana, Chaitanya, they're all there. But then like Nalakonda is like a specific region where you can find coaching for IIT. So
Mhm.
this that area became famous because of this institute there. Yeah. So and then cleared the entrance exam to that, and then we moved to Nalakunta, which is in Hyderabad, right? We
Okay, so
stayed
you
there, and then my
alone,
dad,
or you or your entire family?
entire family,
Okay.
entire family moved to Nalakunta so that I could attend these classes. And then my dad used to like travel to the office like every day, like like 60 kilometers or something he used to travel. Yeah.
Okay. A lot of sacrifice from your family
Oh
for
yeah,
Ramaya.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, yeah. Ramaya, I mean like IIT coaching and getting into IIT. Yeah.
Uh-huh. So you spoke about Nallakunta. So matlab, I
Yeah.
have not personally heard about it a lot. Maybe,
Hmm.
my ignorance, but उसमें you said कि it is specifically called the Kota of South India. तो उसका
Yes.
culture कैसा है? मतलब did you like it or मतलब was it like कहीं और भी better हो जाता मेरा?
I mean, I think it is very competitive. Like people from not just from Telugu states like Andhra, Telangana, but people from other states. I had friends from Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu who used to come there to like prepare for IIT, right? I mean, it was very rigorous and competitive. So I think it was an engagement. Like I was like 16, 17 years. I didn't know a lot. It's like पढ़ाई करना है बस जाके like whatever just study, right? Now in hindsight it feels like a lot of things going on, like a lot of pressure, like yeah, like people scrambling to get like good coaching, yeah, trying to improve their performances. And yeah, I mean down the lane I'll explain what goes on there.
हाँ please मतलब what was a typical day like in Nallakonda?
So especially Ramaya, so it's like first year, like 2 years of preparation, right? So we had a college, like plus one and plus two. We call it like intermediate in Andhra and Telangana. So, but then we never went to that college. It was like bus coaching karo, like just do the coaching. Um, and so I think the classes started at like 5:30 in the morning, like right away. Like I think first class was like chemistry class, I think like 5:30 a.m. We used to get up at like 4:30, take a bath and eat some food, and parents used to wake up. I used to go there, and if even if you are a minute late, you won't be allowed inside, right? So Ramaya was like very very uh, like critical in a lot of ways. Like they had like a dress code, and like I mentioned, like even if you are a minute late, you are not allowed inside the campus. So you have to bring your parent the next day to explain why you were late the last day. you know uh, you
मतलब
are
this
not
is
allowed to wear
stricter than
shoe.
school level.
Oh yeah, yeah, it is very very strict. It is very
Mm.
very strict. Like 5:30 to I think like three classes, like 3 hours, 5:30 to 8:30, I think that's all.
Mhm.
And then you are done for the day. Like 8:30 you go home, do whatever you want, and next day 5:30. So but then it's like they teach us like theory, and they give us like homeworks. But then what happens there is like people attend a lot of tuitions. I had like tuitions for physics, chemistry, maths. Yeah, so I used
So
to
this is
attend all
मतलब
of.
you 3 घंटा पढ़ लिया उधर and then
हाँ
you
हाँ.
come back home फिर tuitions लगाया for physics maths chemistry. So how long was
Yeah.
this going on? मतलब 6 hours मान के चले
हाँ, like
both.
1 1 hour, like
अच्छा ठीक
tuition, like
है.
yeah, so 3 3 6, and then tuition का homework होता है, रामाय का homework होता है, you do that. Yeah, and second year में it gets even like rigorous. It's like the classes started like 4:30 until 11. So no breakfast, nothing. You have to eat your breakfast at 4:30 a.m. in the morning and come. it was very rigorous to say, like in hindsight. Yeah, but so there is this funny incident, right? So we have like Sanskrit as an optional subject in intermediate, right?
Okay.
So second year, I think I remember going to the college and like asking one guy, like standing in the principal room, like, can I have some sample questions so that I can prepare? He's like, did you ever come to the college? So the classes go on, but we never go there. You're like,
Mhm.
no, I haven't. And then I asked him who is a Sanskrit teacher so that I can go like after him
Mhm.
and get some like questions. He was like, I am the Sanskrit teacher, you know. So that was our situation, like we never went to college, but then like we were going there for practical examinations, like
Mhm.
all the practicals used to happen in that college, so we used to go there, like learn theory at Ramaya. It's the same theory, right? But then we
Mhm.
used to go to the college just for practical, which are nice, like get into
Mhm.
whole things and see things, and yeah.
अच्छा, okay. So this is a little different मतलब compared to किसी किसी और से हम लोग सुन रहे थे तो they didn't have
Mm.
practicals also मतलब ऐसा
Oh no,
हो
no.
हो गया था कि
Mhm.
उनके साथ basically they did not have any experience of practicals में report कैसे लिखते हैं practicals होता कैसा
Mm.
है तो फिर
Mm.
they face struggles after IIT कि अंदर आके
Yeah.
पता चल रहा है कि अरे प्रैक्टिस तो कर लिया देन रिपोर्ट कैसे लिखते हैं ना ऑब्जर्वेशन
No.
इन्फरेंस या
Yeah. Yeah.
इंट्रो
Yeah.
वो सब कुछ नहीं आता बट योर केस इट वाज अ लिटिल डिफरेंट है
Yeah. My case was little different, and also like my school was great, man, in a lot of ways. Like DAV, we also had a lot of practical labs. Like maths ka bhi we had physical labs, like measuring the volume of a cone cylinder, how why is it one thirds, like stuff like that, right? And my dad also used to get me like all those like 101 experiments books and circuit boards, and I used to mess up with resistors, diodes, like speakers, like breadboard us time pe like 2000, when we were in like 8th, ninth, and 10th.
अच्छा
So hands-on, I used to like hands-on work. I still like hands-on work. That is what I still do here, but yeah.
अच्छा तो ठीक है आप यू नो यू स्टडीड फॉर 2 years मतलब pretty
Mhm.
rigorous तो था but then you come to the IIT exam day मतलब उस दिन पे you have to do well मतलब जितना भी पढ़ा था
Uh,
coaching tuition सब कुछ मिला के it has to materialize on that day so what was that day experience like do you remember कि कैसा feeling था nervous या chill कैसा था
yeah, so I did not clear JEE in my first attempt.
okay
Okay, so I had to drop an year out and then join another college, which is not Ramaya, like Chaitanya, which is
अच्छा
the typical coaching institute,
अच्छा
Chaitanya Narayana, right? So I had a lot of friends from Ramaya who joined along with me to drop an year out.
okay
A lot of people were along with me as well. Like
अच्छा
I think like I don't know, like 25% of our batch, like at least our like electronics and mechanical were in that coaching institute for the long term thing. Yeah, so that is another story in itself. But yeah, I got to experience like Ramaya, and then the typical like waking up at 6 o'clock and study hours until 9, 10 as well. Like both of those cultures. I
अच्छा
went through
तो
the
मतलब
yeah.
इधर से आके इट वाज अ completely different culture मतलब श्री चैतन्य में when you
Yes.
moved
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, so I think the one thing that lagged in my preparation when I gave a J the first time was practice. Like 4:30 a.m. say like 11 o'clock you're done for the day and you don't know what to do. You're given some homework and that is all you do. Like you don't have time to clarify doubts and all of that, right? So Chaitanya, we already knew all the syllabus. We already knew the theory. It's just that we had to practice, and that was great. Like we had exams every weekend, like trying to get you into the zone, and we had all the time to clear our doubts. And I think the biggest asset was the friends I had then. Like we like we were among ourselves, like clarifying doubts, explaining things. We did not even like wanted a teacher to be there for some topics, like पढ़ लेंगे खुद पढ़ लेंगे, like you don't have to be there.
nice मतलब group
It was
study was very helpful
yeah, exactly group study, and it was a very conducive environment. surprisingly, because this was long term, this was like dropped year students, and they left it to ourselves, and they were like, you're coming from Ramaya, so you know what to do, like tell us what you need. They were asking us like, by what topics do you want us to go through, like stuff like that. And it was a nice experience. I actually enjoyed that 1 year, man. Like, I think that has to be one of my like most fruitful years to say, because I had like great friends. I was going out like for like watching movies, having fun, like writing exams and sitting together and like doing a lot of stuff which I did not do in the last 2 years,
So,
right?
so you were kind of
So
living the college life was 1 year. Huh?
yes, yes, yeah, kind of, yeah.
Okay. So coming to the IIT exam day, कैसा था?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Um, so like I said, having taken so many exams in the drop year, uh, taking exams was not a new thing anymore. Like exam day tension bhi nahi tha mere ko. Like I was so at peace that day. I remember it was my center was opposite the state assembly. Like, yeah. So and my dad had booked a hotel, so just so that I can sleep after the first paper,
अच्छा 2 घंटे के
right?
बीच में okay.
2 घंटे के बीच में, it's like, yeah, like 500 feet away. He booked a hotel and we went. I could not sleep, of course, but then it is summer, like peak summer, so much heat, and I could at least sit in an air conditioned room for some time. uh, but then, yeah, so I think I still remember going there before the first paper, and people were like holding books and like reading stuff, and my dad was like, do you want to like study, like refer something? I'm like, I dropped an year out. you know there is no need. I mean, it is not going to change anything, right? Just like 5 minutes exam se pehle kya hi hoga, um, but I think exam was fine, man. Like, I had great time, like problem solving, like actually enjoyed writing that exam. you know I still remember, like, after the first paper, I gave that paper to my dad, and then went to that hotel, had some idli, and then came back, gave the second paper. After the second paper, after I come out, my dad was like, I think we will clear this time, because he has. So there are people sitting out in vans who are like trying to answer, like develop keys for the question papers right outside the exam centers. And my dad like checked my paper with that key, and he figured out like, first paper went really well, so let's check the second paper. And then I waited there for like 30-40 minutes, and then he figured like, now I think we are probably in the game. And then we went back home, and I think after a few days we got like the official key from JE, and then we figured, okay, so I'm getting this many marks, so clear much about the cutoff mark, so yeah, probably in the game. Yeah.
So what was the IIT result day experience like as well? मतलब ठीक है एक level of confidence है but still you're not sure कि क्या होगा.
Yeah, yeah.
Cut off is
हाँ,
not मतलब something it can change based on the ease of जो भी है.
right, right, right,
फिर
right, right.
वो result day वाला experience कैसा था?
So I think, like after JE, we just got the internet connection. We had a computer, so we just got the internet connection after writing JE. You know, so that internet connection was very slow. I still remember I was getting messages from my, and I think Facebook was a new thing then. Like Facebook just started coming in like 2010, 11, right? So, so once I had the internet, I like created Facebook account, and I had my friends and cousins chatting me on Facebook. Is like, did you get your result? And my dad and mom's phones were like ringing continuously. It's like, did you get the result? Did you get the result? And the internet was slow, but then check the result, and so it's like it was a big relief. Parents were super excited, and they called everyone, and they let them know that
So
we
कोई
cleared the
special
exam.
celebrations you remember?
And I mean, I think my dad bought like, I don't know, like 5-10 kg of some sweet and took it to his office to distribute among his colleagues.
So
So
was this again 60 kilometers दूर वो वाला office?
yeah, yeah, 60 kilometers too. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So I had like, in a lot of ways, having seen my parents sacrifice so much, I was like, like we have to do, like clear the exam this time. So I that was a big relief. It's like as a gift to my parents, like, whatever you expected out of me, I did it,
Mhm.
yeah,
मतलब रिलीफ फ्रॉम योर साइड एज वेल एज फ्रॉम देयर साइड यू मतलब
of
उनके लिए
course.
भी कि हाँ वर यू अ
Huh.
सिंगल चाइल्ड कि मतलब do you have
No,
siblings?
I have a twin brother.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah, I have a twin brother. He also sacrificed a lot, so he was in a hostel in my first year of intermediate, because if you are in the same house, things might get uh, bad or like whatever, right? So it's like, let's separate these two kids so that they'll like focus. But then he came back after first year. He didn't like the hostel, but he came back. But yeah, so
Okay. मतलब
yeah.
was he also preparing along with you
No,
कि
no, no,
मतलब
no,
separate?
no. Yeah, he was doing the local tests, and he was more into like like India dena hai. India is like National Defense Academy ka test dena hai, all of that. But so the first time we were giving tests, it was like simultaneous, right? So my mom used to take him to some exams, my dad used to take me, and my mom used to like take me sometimes, and my dad used to take him sometimes, because there are lot of exams, man, like JE, AEEE, like whatever, like ISRO ka, like IAST, like local engineering test, and like hundreds of exams, right? So yeah.
Okay, let me ask you one thing कि मतलब आईटी देने के बाद did you care about other exams? मतलब ठीक है देना है but did you actually care?
Not really. I mean, AEEE, I did give it. So there is this architectural exam for AEEE, if you remember. They
Yeah,
have
I did.
this. There are two AEEE exams. Yeah, yeah, there are two. One is for architecture and one is for engineering. I prepared well for the architecture because it was like solving like all the small design puzzles,
Okay.
patterns, finding out
Mhm.
patterns. That was very, like nice and new thing for me. I really liked that. So I actually studied for that exam and not the, like AEEE or like the local. Yeah. And like, like each exam is very different, right? So
Mhm.
the local engineering entrance test is called MSET. It's like, I think you have 100 questions in like almost like 100 minutes, or 120 questions in 120 minutes, or something like that. So 1 minute for each question. So you need pace, like you need speed for that exam. And J is like more like problem solving and hard questions, like multiple, like subjects, right? So yeah, so they're different in a lot of ways, and we didn't have time to prepare for all of those exams. It was just like a week before, whatever I could do, I did it. Yeah.
Okay, so after your exam results, मतलब you got a rank. How did you choose the department as the and the IIT? मतलब what thought went in?
Yeah, so IIT Hyderabad, which was a new campus back then, which did not have a campus, it was like 5 kilometers from our place.
Sorry.
So so the temporary campus was in another public sector company called Ordnance Factory. So they gave the land and stuff for the temporary campus. So I went there. Actually, me, my dad, we both actually went there and spoke to a few professors there. They were like, if you, for your rank, if you want to get like computer science or like electronics at IIT Hyderabad, you can, but there's nothing here, like it's just starting, right? It was all like small rooms and not a lot of like actual good stuff going on there. So he recommended like try and choose like the older IITs, like give preference to those. And then since I like my dad is a mechanical engineer, like having seen him do stuff, and having lived in that scientific community, so to say, like everyone in our township was an engineer kind of, right? So I, for my rank, I was like, okay, so I was like mechanical lunga, and where am I getting it? uh, so I figured I would not get mechanical in Kharagpur, but then I would get manufacturing science and engineering, which is in the department of mechanical engineering.
Mhm.
And then I figured, okay, so this is probably where I'll land.
Mhm.
But for the options, we still give like IIT Bombay Computer Science, and you know, like this, luck, if you have like, uh, So we still gave all those options, but then I knew where I would land. So I figured this will be my, like college and branch.
Okay, तो एक स्पेशल एफिनिटी था फॉर मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग seeing your father.
Yeah, yeah, seeing the father, and I was like, as growing up, like lots of hands-on work, and like I used to love like cars, automobiles, and my dad used to so like 80 to 90% of the TV time we had was Discovery, man. Like,
Nice.
and yeah, like Discovery Channel and Nat Geo, and Junkyard Wars, and like seeing all those cars break down, and like stuff like that, right? Like, so, and um yeah, and we also had like Abdul Kalam visit our township a few times, and defense ministers come in, and there's a lot of stuff going on, right? So it's like technical and scientific stuff going on. So maybe I think that led me to choose mechanical engineering. But as I think in intermediate, like in JE, I liked electrical or electronics more than solving mechanics or like physics problems.
So with that, we come to the end of the first section, life before IIT. Moving on to next is life at IIT. तो दिनेश एक होता है कि फर्स्ट डे यू गॉट केजीपी ओके बट अभी ट्रैवल करना है डू यू रिमेम्बर द जर्नी
Mhm.
फ्रॉम योर प्लेस टू खड़गपुर एंड व्हाट वाज द फर्स्ट impressions of KGP like on you?
Yeah, so I think from my drop year, we were like 15 people. I think like 7 to 8 people were going to KGP.
Okay.
So I mean, the lot of people from Telugu states, like
Mhm.
right? Like I
Mhm.
think 30-40% of KGP is like Telugu people, right?
Yeah.
So there are, I think, two trains which go from Secunderabad, which is like the main station in Hyderabad, like Falaknama Express and East Coast, and people prefer Falaknama because it's a super fast express. It like takes 24 hours from Hyderabad to Kharagpur. So yeah, I still remember like we went there and we saw a lot of kids, man, like holding bags and parents, and like I think that entire train probably was for Kharagpur. We were there at the station, and I met my friends there. um, and yeah, we were in different coaches, but yeah, and we got to meet a lot of other people and parents, and my parents were also excited. Okay, so all these people cleared the exam and they're going to Kharagpur, so they're taking their phone numbers and getting to know each other and doing stuff. But yeah.
Okay, and KGP के first impressions?
So I've seen the campus before. It just like Google Kia, and the main building is gigantic, right? It's like IIT matlab KGP ka main building, right?
Mhm.
Wherever in news or everywhere, newspapers. So seeing that main building was a big relief. He's like, हाँ आ गया मैं इधर.
सही जगह है.
सही जगह आया. Kharagpur is like, it's not a big town. It's like a railway colony with IIT, and that is the only two things which go on there. Was surprised a bit to see the campus in that location. But I knew. I mean, I've read about it, but it was a great campus. Like I mentioned, I lived in similar campuses before. Like our township was also similar to IIT, but smaller. But I know how things go there. The roads are well maintained. It's clean and green, lots of trees. Like huge parks and stadiums. All of that, right? So I
Yeah.
knew that before because I grew up in the same environment.
Okay. हाँ मतलब केजीपी द टाउन इटसेल्फ इज मतलब pretty backward या फिर जब हमारे टाइम पे थे it was not
हाँ हाँ.
all that modern but KGP
Yeah.
IT KGP for campus was like a city in itself मतलब
Yes.
it was
Yes. Yeah.
so, very well maintained उस तरीके से.
Yeah, and I think a lot of culture that comes, or like whatever we experience comes from the point that it's not a big city, right?
Hmm.
If it was like say in Kolkata or elsewhere, we would have gone out probably every day.
Mhm. Actually.
We were kind of forced to stay in the campus, so that is why we get along so well, and we had great time together, and we did like lots of stuff together.
Yeah. मतलब you spoke about culture so coming from South Indian household so what were the
Mhm.
initial culture shocks KGP आके?
I mean, so since I was in a CBSE school, I had Hindi all along. Like since my
Mhm.
first grade, I had Hindi, and my Hindi is okay. So I could communicate well with other people, like other batchmates, and so that was not a shock to me. And then I think food was a biggest shock. Like aloo everywhere, like potatoes everywhere, right? So that was a cultural shock. And then the rains, man, it used to rain like hell, you know. And the weather, like Hyderabad is a dry climate, it's not a lot of humidity. And Bengal is like, massive rivers, and you have the coast, and so much humidity. And so the first time we came, it was raining all over, and so humidity. Yeah, so that was a new experience. Yeah.
अच्छा। And did you already have cycling experience beforehand कि उधर आके ही साइकिल चलाने को मिला?
No, no. So like I mentioned, like in our township, so I used to cycle everywhere. दोस्त के घर जाना है साइकिल लेके जाओ, स्कूल जाना है साइकिल लेके जाओ, शॉपिंग कॉम्प्लेक्स जाना है साइकिल लेके जाओ. So everyone, like, even I remember, like, our company, they give like gifts every year, I think, like Dasara, या कुछ new year end पे they give gifts. And one of the gifts for one of the years was a bicycle to every employee. you know so I mean, I was already like cycling. So the first day itself, I think, when I came to Kharagpur, there is I still remember, there are like cycling, all the shops were set up in one big stadium. You go there and buy a cycle. So I test drove a couple of cycles, and since I'm very lean, I used to be even more lean back then. I bought like a thin, or like a basic bicycle, which
Right.
is not heavy, so that I
Something,
could.
you could support as well as the support. The cycle should support you.
Shoot, so yeah, exactly, exactly, exactly,
Okay,
yeah.
I'll share a picture of Gondla during that time.
Yeah.
हाँ, फिर मतलब और कल्चर एस्पेक्ट्स में भी आते हैं तो there is this huge culture of Illu and Rangoli. I
Mm,
know कि
yes.
you also took part in some years, but initially first year से what was the impression like?
So since I had friends from our seniors as well, right? Because I dropped a year out, I knew some of my batchmates back in intermediate who were in Kharagpur. So they kind of gave me a download कि भाई यहाँ पे होता क्या है, like how is KGP, like first year में क्या होता है, and do this, stay away from this. So I had like really good friends who were my our seniors, to say. So first year was a mixed experience, man. Like staying away from home was a new thing. Like food was new, like missing home food. But then, like, I was getting to spend time with my friends whom I had known before, and getting to know a lot of new friends, people from other states who speak different languages. That was exciting. Yeah, and like like first year may we just used to visit every hall for Illu and Rangoli, and like looking at all the chatais and stuff. It's like shocking. It's like, bhai, karte kaise? Like Triple M, we were in Triple M hall, and we didn't do a lot back in Triple M back then. So just looking at all the rangolis, and which is insane creativity and a lot of labor.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, in hindsight, it feels like that is a great time to bond. I mean, our seniors used to tell us that as well. Like getting to know each other, because we spent all the time making the diyas, and cutting the wire, and yeah.
I was in electronics branch, but मेरा first tryst with wires वो उधर ही आया था। सेकेंड ईयर फर्स्ट सेमेस्टर मुझे याद है वी यूज टू सिट फ्रॉम आफ्टर डिनर मतलब 7:30 बजे हाँ तुम बुला लिए एंड देन हैड डिनर 7:30 या 8 बजे से वी यूज टू डू टिल 2 in the night आई थिंक वो बस हर दिया के बीच में वी हैड अ टेक्निक कि कैसे रैप करते हैं एंड देन इट शुड
Not you
बी
have to type. Yeah,
नॉट
yeah.
टाइट करके ताकि एटलीस्ट दिया ना निकले देन अगेन वो
Ah,
चटाई तो लगाना है दैट इज
chatai.
सेपरेट
Yeah.
टॉपिक बट हाँ मतलब ऑलमोस्ट ऑल सेकेंड ईयर्स वर पार्टिसिपेटिंग ऑलमोस्ट मतलब नॉट नेसेसरली सब लोग बट हाँ जितने भी साथ किए थे एंड मुझे याद है कि
Hmm.
हमारे विंग के नीचे ही होता था, तो इट वाज लाइक कि हाँ
Yes.
बस पानी का बॉटल लेके बैठ जाओ, बाकी छह
Yes.
घंटा
Yeah.
करो ये सब। इट वाज अ नाइस
Yeah. Yeah.
बॉन्डिंग
Yeah.
टाइम। हाँ मतलब भले ही पढ़ाई
Yeah.
नहीं होता था दैट सेमेस्टर
But
कॉल।
I like that year, man. Second year was a like was a lot of
डिजास्टर हाँ।
disaster. I mean, it's like academics got. uh, we just came to the senior hall and we were like, we had laptops, we had high speed LAN, but not a lot of time to do other stuff.
द वर यू पार्ट ऑफ एनएसएस की एनएसओ या एनसीसी?
Hmm. Yeah. So it was random, right? I think it was randomly allotted to people, and then I got NSS. Sorry, NCC
अच्छा ओके
to
हाँ,
go
यू आर
with,
द फर्स्ट
and
मतलब जो पॉडकास्ट में है जो एनसीसी में था, तो यू टेल मी अबाउट योर एनसीसी एक्सपीरियंस।
by I did not take NCC because I did NCC in my school.
ओह
Okay,
ओके।
eighth and ninth we had NCC in our school. I also did a camp back then, so I showed that certificate here. I know it is very hard. It's not that easy, and I'm like, भाई अब बीटेक में नहीं करूँगा NCC. हो गया. I don't want to spend all that time doing this stuff. So I showed him the certificate. I think to one of the professors. Don't. I already did NCC. I have the certificate. And then he gave me like TK NSS. He allotted me NSS.
तो एनएसएस में क्या क्या किया?
NSS. I think there was this village. I forget the name of the village, but it was like I think 7-8 kilometers from Kharagpur, like our campus. We used to cycle there and go there and like teach kids, and I think we visited a lot of houses as well, just to take some surveys, like trying to like know stuff about how if they're educated, what do their parents do, and what is their income and all that stuff.
आई आस्क बिकॉज मतलब वो डिफरेंस जिसका हम लोग बात कर रहे थे ना, केजीपी वर्सेस आईआईटी केजीपी, वो दिखता है
Yeah.
स्टार्क कि हम लोग
Yes.
वी आर प्रिविलेज्ड एंड
Yes.
काइंड ऑफ स्टडीइंग इन
Huh.
दिस प्रीमियर इंस्टीट्यूट, और उसके जस्ट 2 किलोमीटर बाहर जाओ यू विल सी कि एकदम पॉवर्टी में लोग रह रहे हैं, नो
Why? I
एजुकेशन
mean,
ऐसा।
not even 2 kilometers, man. Just step out of the main gate.
हम्म।
Step out of that. What is that main gate called? Puri Gate, right? There are two railway tracks, and you see stuff. It's like what is this? I mean, like, why are people so poor, and like what is happening? I mean, it is good to know that the situation of the country. I mean, like we are in a tech institute. We know Bangalore, Mumbai, or like Hyderabad or Noida. Like Kolkata, big cities. But the other side of India, getting to know that part was also nice in a lot of ways. Like seeing people travel in buses. People used to travel on top of the buses. Which is new for me especially.
एंड आई थिंक कि दूसरे आईआईटीज में मे बी ये एक्सपीरियंस ना मिले बिकॉज दे वर डायरेक्टली इन द सिटी।
Yeah. Yeah, they were directly in this. So that is what I tell, right? I mean, maybe that empathy I have now comes from my experience at Kharagpur. You know, having seen people, is like whenever I spend money, I'm like, there are people who cannot afford food, man, who cannot afford a house. I mean, I was going through the photographs with my friend here one day, and I realized like it's not even, it's like thatched roof. People were living in thatched roof, and like no water to drink. No, I don't believe like there is electricity as well. Like so. Yeah, so there are places still like that in India, and there is a lot the country as a whole should be doing, and yeah.
ओके तो अभी आते हैं योर कोर्स वर्क पे। सो यू टुक मैन्युफैक्चरिंग व्हिच इज इनसाइड मैकेनिकल, व्हाट वाज द कोर्स वर्क लाइक? मतलब फर्स्ट ईयर से लेके फोर्थ ईयर तक, मतलब डिड इट इंक्रीज, वाज देयर प्रेशर?
I think first year was okay, but second year got messed up because of all the hall activities and we did. But then I started to enjoy academics from third year. Like all the core courses were coming in, and like all the design, mechanical design and automobile engineering, and like robotics, and all of those courses were cropping in. I actually enjoyed that. I think third year and fourth year. Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
they were not a cakewalk to say. I mean, it is you are among the smartest people in the country. So to say, I mean, like people think IITs are great because of the infrastructure there, The infrastructure is great, of course, it is the best in the country, but then I feel they are great because of the people who are there.
Mhm.
Like you are conducting an examination which is very very hard. So obviously you'll have like the cream of the country there, right? And people go out and they do good stuff, you know become CEO of Google and do that kind of stuff, right? So it is, so the barrier of entry decides the success of the people there, I feel. So that is what I feel. I mean, same thing for my, I think, plus one, plus two coaching at Ramaya. You are filtering, you are conducting the toughest exam for, like 10th class kids for the entire state. So all the state toppers will be there, right? It is no surprise that they are doing, like good stuff.
Yeah. फिर आते हैं the most contentious part of IIT, which is like the placement season. तो
Oh, yeah.
IITs को famous जो भी है, all the I'm uploading these on YouTube. तो mostly
Yeah.
YouTube के thumbnails देखता हूँ कि okay, these packages, this that वो जो
Yeah.
भी है,
Yeah.
you can do it too. But what was your experience like during the placement season?
So I did not sit for the placements, actually.
Hmm.
So I had an internship in my third year, like third year summer. May we do internships, right? I did an internship with Bosch in Ahmedabad. So that went well, really well, and I gave a report. So the headquarters is in Germany. So that division was Bosch Rexroth. Okay, so that division made like hydraulic cylinders and all that stuff. One of, I think, someone in Germany saw my report and they were impressed and they were like, okay, so we'll kind of a PPO, but they were like offering me an internship in Germany for 1 year, and then they were like, you can study here, we'll sponsor your education, like masters and stuff. So I was like, so okay, I have to do that application at the end of my fourth year. So I was just like sitting through the process, like just seeing, okay, so what happens in placements. We had all of our wingmates, I was helping them. I did give a couple of interviews. I was like, and I don't remember the name of the companies, but then I was in. I gave a couple of group discussions, which went horribly bad. There were like 15 people sitting in a room, and there was one moderator, and people are shouting at each other. And I was like, is this how people talk in companies? Is this how board meetings are done, or is this how people discuss stuff? I did not go through that placement stuff, but there's a lot of pressure, man. I mean, having seen our batchmates, I was helping
Mhm.
them. I was, like staying awake all night and doing stuff for them, right? Um, so like, why do we have interviews at like 3 a.m. in the morning? Doesn't make any
Mhm.
sense. Why put so much pressure day zero, day one? Which is, I mean, it is great that the institute organizes the placement. They're inviting companies are coming in, they're traveling from whatever, right, Bangalore or Delhi, and coming all the way to Kharagpur and doing that stuff. But there's a lot of pressure from family and like society pressure and peer pressure. um, I mean, it doesn't make a lot of difference after 10-15 years, right?
Mhm.
If
Right.
you got like day one placement or day 10 or day 100, it doesn't matter now.
Actually,
You do, I mean, it is a good way to start your career, like career. But yeah, I saw, like people crying in, like sitting in one corner, you know because just because they couldn't clear the day one placement. They're like, bhai, kal bhi hai bhai, like it's like this first day, you have day 2, day 3, day 4. So many companies are coming in, and yeah.
yeah. So, with that, we come to the end of the section of life at IIT. So we'll go into the next, which is life after IIT. And you were saying कि हाँ, you got into that Germany opportunity. तो वो
Yeah.
एक तो कि मतलब let's say students who are in IIT वो भी करना चाहते हैं ऐसे. तो it
Hmm.
sounds pretty nice, Germany, Europe में जाके there'll be sponsored education और फिर job
Hmm.
भी मिल जाएगा at the end of 1 year. So how does a student avail this opportunity?
And I think, like, if you, so I mean, Mine was probably just because I had an internship with a company which had headquarters in Germany. So that is the reason, and I had that internship opportunity in the first place. I mean, that was off campus internship. I applied it myself, and I think there were people who came to Kshitij, I believe. There was this guy from Bosch who came and he gave me a card, and I reached out to him in the third year. And that guy set up an interview for me, and that is how I got in. Networking does really help, right? Like even later, much later in life, even now, right? It's whatever we do in life. I feel it's for network. Like going to an IIT is for network. You have all these batchmates, for life, right? If you need any help, or if you need to start a company, or if you're doing to do something else, whatever in life, you have them really accessible. And yeah.
Yeah. So someone important said once कि net worth is your network. फिर आते हैं अभी current job role. So
Mhm.
Gonda, you are in US. So what are you working on? And you are obviously very excited about it as well. So maybe बताओ कि what is the day-to-day job activity like?
So before that, so that internship opportunity I
अच्छा.
got in Germany, I couldn't go there because, yeah, I did not go to, because I'm in the US right now. I'm not in Germany. So I still remember, like, it was fourth year, and I was filling the application form for that process. Like there was this immigration form or whatever. And I went to this professor and I asked him to sign it. He was like, okay, but this says you should be a student, but you are graduating now in 1 month. How will you be eligible for this visa and for this internship? That then it struck me. Oh, what do I do now? Then I reached out to the company. They were like, yeah, you have to be a student to get this opportunity. And the professor was like, why don't you like drop out, or like, like, don't write an exam. You'll fail in that exam, and you'll be a student so that you can go to Germany and do whatever and come back. And I spoke to my parents, and they were like, no, like, work so hard to get into IIT, get a proper degree. Like, there are other opportunities you can pursue. And then I applied for universities in the US, and I got into Virginia Tech, and I did my master's there. And then yeah, got into this job I'm working in right now.
Yeah, you were explaining
Uh,
a bit about
yeah,
what your company does.
yeah. So ours is a really small company. I was the sixth employee when I joined. Like, so it is not a startup, but we've been there for like 15 years now. But it's like a lean organization. So we design solar panels, off-grid products like structures. It is so there's a lot of like core engineering going on. Like mechanical engineering, electrical engineering. I also do like web apps and like some software stuff as well. Um, so I started as a design engineer, and then I am the product manager right now. So manage like all the different products we have, like hardware products and other software products. Yeah, so the solar, we design and develop solar panels, right? So these panels are architectural solar panels, kind of premium solar panels, which are
Mhm.
overhead panels. Like if you see a car parking, there are a lot of parking lots in the US,
Mhm.
so many of them. So it's like you park a car under this solar canopy, or if you have an awning, say like Microsoft, we did a project with Microsoft in the Bay Area for the headquarters there. They had an awning and they wanted like shade, and we were like, okay, so use our solar panels on top. You can generate electricity and you can also get shade. uh, yeah, it's a really small company, and there is a lot of responsibility like in any startup, right? So there's a lot of stuff going on and very agile. And uh, yeah.
Right. So you are a product manager, but you also kind of doing or overseeing engineering jobs in your field. कि मैन्युफैक्चरिंग का देख लिया इलेक्ट्रिकल जिसमें जिसमें इंटरेस्ट था
Yes.
and you were able to solve problems which were actually what you were interested in from the very start, right?
Yes. So I was a design geek, or like anything which looked nice, right? I didn't know what it was before. Like growing up as a child, I was good at art and painting, and even my one of my favorite subjects at IIT was engineering design, which is which is not very famous with like students, but I used to like it. um, so I do a lot of design work here, and I do like electronics. Like I said, I also do like like prototypes for web apps, and like all that kind of stuff. It is core engineering, and it is also like managing a product from zero to one, like like from concept to market launch. Also looking at what we can do on the marketing side of it, like how to make partnerships with big companies, like Target, Porsche. We've done projects with them. Like how to make presentation, like pitch decks and presentations, right? So all of that. It's like, so day to day is like, today is very different from tomorrow. you know so I, even when I was the design engineer, to say, I was doing a lot of management stuff, because
Mm.
we were like six people, right? Six people and executing multi-million dollar projects, and you have to do management. There is no one else to do it. um, so my title doesn't justify what I do. uh, yeah.
Yeah. Basically, you are a company in itself, अगर छोटा सा देखा जाए तो
Kind
मैनेजमेंट
of,
भी
yeah,
नहीं
yeah.
है.
So yeah, exactly. So like, yeah, supply chain, inventory management, design, software side of things, website, marketing, you know, sales, helping sales guys, like, yeah, almost everything. Yeah.
ओके, आई थिंक आई जस्ट फाउंड आउट कि वो यूट्यूब का थंबनेल क्या होने वाला है. So, ठीक है, तो आई कम टू अ फ्यू फाइनल क्वेश्चंस. एक तो कि व्हाट डू यू चेरिश मोस्ट अबाउट आईआईटी लाइफ, जो कि इट स्टिल इज विथ यू टिल टुडे.
I mean, I think the kind of opportunities I got, especially like, say, all those extracurricular activities were extraordinary, man. Like, uh, I didn't realize back then. It was like, I was part of, I mean, you were also along with me in a lot of those events. We were part of ad design, if you remember. I was doing product design, and hardware modeling. That was great, really great. Like, I still do similar stuff. Yeah, even now, like just figuring out how to make something, like googling out the costs or how to get it made, and all of that stuff. It started in IIT. you know um, didn't realize it then that it would help me so much. But those activities were really great. And I really cherish the time we had. Like, you, like I mentioned before, you are among the smartest people in the country, and it's like all the bucker we do, like random talks we had, like while eating food, or like just sitting out in the canteen. Those are all great. It was not like shit talk, but it was actually like good talk. Okay, कि technology में क्या हो रहा है इधर, politics में क्या हो रहा है, economics, like everything, whatever is the topic of that moment, we just like go in detail, look for it, and yeah.
And it also ties back nicely कि you were saying कि जब second time you were preparing for IIT, so you loved those
Mhm.
group study sessions. So
Yes, yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, I still remember at IIT, like, like we still used to prepare like 1 week, or like 2 weeks before exams, right? And we had like these batchmates who we used to visit, and they used to teach us everything. Gnan dete the, Baba types. Yeah, like we used to, yeah. I was one of those guys for one course, like automobile engineering. I had friends come into my room, and but for all other courses, I was visiting other people, and uh, like, yeah, getting taught.
कोई एक एक सब्जेक्ट के बाबा होते थे, so you are also one
Exactly.
बाबा.
Yeah, yeah. One baba. Yeah.
Okay. So any suggestions for students who are currently preparing for IIT? Maybe from your Nallakunta region भी हो सकता है. And
Huh.
what will you say to them कि current level of rigor जो है versus the outcomes of IIT, like तो उस हिसाब से how will you, what will you suggest?
I mean, looking at things now, in some ways, like having high goals is good. Like if you want to clear IIT, and um, But that goal, I think, should be clear right from the beginning. It's like, if you want to make money, or like what do you want to do, and people might not know, uh, right? You are like 16-year old and you might not know what you want to do in life, right? Things keep changing. uh, but I think this pressure from parents should be addressed. Is what I feel like. Our parents keep telling us ki 10th class ke liye clear kar lo, life is set. IIT clear kar lo, life is set. IIT graduation karo, life is set. But that never happens, man. Like, so it's like happiness, I feel, is a journey. It's not like a destination. you know J clear karne ke baad life was not happy, right? We had lot of problems and difficulties, and to like, so it's like, I would tell all the kids who are preparing to IIT that you should enjoy problem solving. Not just like mathematical problem solving, but there are, I mean, at that age, that is the only thing you're doing. You're just solving like mathematical problems. But then later in life, there are other problems which might come up, right? Personal life ho gaya, office ka, like there are a lot of other stuff that comes up. So if you are preparing yourself to enjoy solving problems, I feel you're like making yourself ready to face the real world. Having wrong expectations is a big deal. Like, if you expect that life is good after clearing IIT, then you are definitely wrong. There's a lot of things that happen at IIT. You have to study very hard because it's not that easy. I keep saying this, like, I went to Virginia Tech for a master's, and it was a cakewalk, man, for academics.
Mm.
It was very, very easy to say. I mean, there are a lot of other like assignments and projects which are hard, but then especially the academics was very easy, just because the competition was not that hard, and even the questions papers and the examination standard was not that high compared to IIT.
Mhm.
So kids have to know this before getting into IIT. It's like, life is, it will not be a cakewalk.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you are also saying about the differences in the teaching methods, right? कि अभी आईटी में एक तरीके का टीचिंग है versus you have also studied in US उस level का so what are the main differences that you see?
I think the first thing I would say is like memorization. At
Mm.
IIT, we had this course where we were supposed to memorize, I think, like hundreds of formulas for one course. I think design of engineering, or like, I think, some course. Here, we were asked to write up a cheat sheet. It's called a cheat sheet. On a A4 sheet, you can, on one side, you can write whatever you want. I mean, we also had like open book exams in IIT. Those are different, but I think this should be the case for every exam in IIT as well. Memorization is not, I mean, memorization is good, like having good memory is great, but then not everyone is good with that, and that should not be a criteria, right, to excel in exams. And then also, there's a lot of emphasis on practical stuff here. We also had
Mhm.
practical labs, but then, like, in the course itself, we have projects. I almost had like a project for every course I did. One course was complete lab. We had like a robot for ourselves, and we were like, I was designing manufacturing systems, like with a robot and other like automated stuff, which is very new. We also had stuff, but it was like we were just looking at it, like, like doing it for like 1 hour. But I used to spend like 4 or 5 hours at this lab almost every day. I think having that, like that practicals included in the theory itself really helps, and having assignments, group assignments, really helps. And also, like, the batch size is super high, especially in Kharagpur. I
Mhm.
think we were like 1400 people, right? And the faculty ratio is not that great.
Mhm.
We still have that issues. I think all IITs face this issue, but here the faculty ratio is good. Like, so 1:5 or 1:4, something like that. This is what I feel is a major difference between education in the US and, like, especially the IITs. Yeah.
Mhm. So हाँ, एक और point which I missed is the hobbies. So Dinesh has very interesting hobbies which he picked up in US, I guess. So few of which he posts videos about on Insta, on LinkedIn, wherever he finds the opportunity. So Dinesh, why don't you speak about those?
Yeah, so I've started, pursuing hiking here. I live in this city called Boulder, which is like the foothills of Rocky Mountains. It is like Dehradun in India, like foothills of Himalayas, right? So like easy access to like mountains and um, like all the trails and hiking paths. And then I slowly started picking up rock climbing. It's like you like literally climb onto rocks with your hands and with your feet. So there are also gyms dedicated to this sport. uh, yeah, so my
Okay.
boss and his wife are professional rock climbers, and they kind of got me into this sport. So yeah, I go to the gym like few days a week, and I also do like outdoor climbing. And I've also visited a number of national parks here in the US. So there are a lot of national parks here, just like in India, which are like well maintained, and like like the geography is like very different from one national park to the other. And I've like hiked and also like climbed in those national parks.
And
Yeah,
you were wearing this Patagonia t-shirt, right? So उसका भी
yeah,
एक special relation है with your rock climbing journey. So
yeah.
can you explain that a bit?
No, so this is a company, like based in California. So the founder is also a rock climber. He started making shoes for rock climbing, and then he slowly made all the apparel. So so that founder has a lot of emphasis on climate change. And so he has dedicated all of his profits and earnings for this cause, like entire, for how long the company exists for, all the profits will go to like working for this cause. So it's one of those very few ethical companies, but then these are not cheap, like they're like super expensive. People in California also refer to them as Patagucci, like you know.
And also, Dinesh, you are a new parent as well, right? You have
Yes,
a
yeah.
daughter of 10 months.
Yeah.
And does it or did it change your perspective on a few stuff which could relate back to your childhood as well?
uh I mean, I think once you have your kid, it's like you forget about yourself. At least that is what has happened to me. It's like it is there is nothing more about myself, whatever me and my wife do is for the kid. We don't have time for ourselves, but it is good in a lot of ways. And I think you really develop that empathy uh, for a person when you start when you have a kid. And especially in the US, there is no you don't get any help, right? It is
Mhm.
just me and my wife who has to take care of the baby, and we have to do our work and clean the house and cook food and do all other stuff. And it's like managing time is also very important, right?
Mhm.
Being in like IIT, we had like 4 years and so much time for ourselves. And but now we are kind of like short on time, and we have to optimize things really well. Like plan, okay, so 8 o'clock we do this, 9 o'clock we do this, like 5 p.m. we do this, 8 p.m. we do this. So
Okay. And you're also doing this interview at what, 6:30 in the morning?
yeah, 6:30 in the morning. Yeah, I pushed it half an hour uh, just because there is not enough sunlight here in the day. Yeah.
Okay, nice. That was a very nice, end to that segment. We'll move on to the rapid fire. So quick
Mhm.
questions, quick answers. Favorite subject before IIT?
I'd say organic chemistry. I used to hate physical chemistry just because uh, I think inorganic, because there is a lot of like rote learning, memorization. But then in physics, I used to like all the electrical stuff. And in mathematics, of geometry was, you know I really like geometry, and which is what I still do. Like drawing planes, drawing 3D stuff. It's like
Okay.
all geometry stuff. But yeah, that is what I liked back then.
Nice. Favorite professor in IIT?
There are a few, I'd say. C.S. Kumar is one professor who I had actually met after even after graduation as well. Uh, he had this great lab, like 3D printing lab. That is what triggered me to pursue like higher education. 3D printing was a new thing back then. 2014, 15, and he had this huge lab where you can make anything out of metal powder, like make complex parts, and we had access to that lab and all, like all other equipment in this lab. So that is what I did at Virginia Tech in my masters as well. Like 3D printing was my main focus of research. I think other one other professor who taught us automobile engineering. I think his name is A.R. Mohanty, and that guy used to drive a BMW. If you remember, there is one professor who used to drive. So this is that is him.
Was that for
He,
the demo of his class? Yes,
no. So I mean, I think he had a good lab. It's called IIT Noise. I mean, he does like noise and vibration control, like research, and he has collaborations with a lot of companies, like automobile companies, tractor like Tata, Mahindra, and like all other companies. And I think he probably gets a lot of money as well, doing that research for like sponsored research, right? And yeah, so our director used to probably drive like a Swift or an Ambassador, and this guy used to drive in a BMW. Yeah,
favorite course in IIT.
probably automobile engineering. Yeah,
Mhm.
automobile engineering and engineering design. First year में engineering design. Yeah.
Yeah, even मतलब मेरे लिए भी बहुत अच्छा कोर्स था. It was like a drawing, but with scales and मुझे वो
Yes.
isometric drawings वाले बहुत अच्छे लगते थे.
Isometric. Yes. Yes. I know.
Even
I mean,
मतलब हाँ, हम्म,
yeah. So like going there, like the first time I went to that drawing room, it was a huge room, if you remember, right? Like all
yeah,
those tables, and
yeah,
we used to
all those
have
angled
directions for,
tables as
yeah,
well.
exactly. We used to stand and draw, and all those protractors and drafters and setup we used to carry. And I remember like first time, like I think almost everyone was confused where that room was actually, because we had directions, I think, from the main building. Okay, so I think 201 or something ED is called, and you had directions like boards everywhere showing like arrow marks showing. Yeah.
And I remember we had to buy a lot of stuff for that
Yes.
particular
Yes.
course. मतलब
Yes.
हर KGP बंदे के पास फर्स्ट ईयर से they'll have this one backpack गोल वाला cylindrical
Yes.
जिसमें
Yes.
chart papers और
Chart papers. Yes. Yes.
pencils
All
ink
those all those pencils and different kinds of HB, two A, or two B, two A, whatever. Like so many. And also like we had this, if you remember, CAD like software thing as well. We were taught SolidWorks, and few other people were taught some other software. But SolidWorks is what still I use. I still use SolidWorks till date. So that is when I first learned, like SolidWorks, 2011, or in our first year,
most enjoyable year at IIT.
probably third year. I think just because we got our single rooms, and I was also enjoying the department courses, and we were having fun with all the hall activities, and it was more relaxed, to say, than the second year. Second year was more intense.
Most confusing year at IIT.
Second year, second year.
No more
Yeah.
explanation needed. Got it.
No. Yeah. Yeah. I got it. Yeah.
Favorite KGP lingo.
Peace, load.
Do you
Peace,
still use
load.
them today? Yes, चला गया.
I probably still use peace, peace and load, but fun day, like, yeah, yeah. It was fascinating to learn the lingo, and yeah, yeah.
Okay, so with that, we are done with the episode. So I'll request the audience to, keep watching out this space for more such episodes. Well, talking to Dinesh has been wonderful. He gave us insights into his mechanical branch, the reasons for choosing mechanical branch as well, then choosing IIT, and then life at IIT. How interesting it was. Skills which help him to this day even. and then, um, jack of all trades and also becoming master of many. So Dinesh, it has been great talking to you. So yeah, this has been
Thanks,
IT
Somnath.
podcast. Yes, with Somnath signing off.